Hi, and welcome to Extra Serving, a Nation's Restaurant News podcast. I'm your host, Holly Petre. Today on the pod, we're going to be talking about the earnings palooza we've seen so far and our big takeaways, plus the return of Taco Bell's Mexican pizza. Later on, you'll hear from Green District's Jordan Depke and Chris Furlow. On Takeaway with Sam Oches, Sam spoke with Jeff Applebaum from Salted about what it means to be a digital native restaurant company and how Salted wants to be the leader in that space. And NRN has a brand new podcast, First Bite, the daily morning podcast from NRN. Every day we'll be covering the day's top headlines, as well as providing a deeper dive into one of the stories with an NRN editor. And now it's time to introduce my co-host, Singular.
The one and only. It's me, Sam Oches, editor-in-chief of Nation's Restaurant News. I was just reflecting on how you pivot from official podcast Holly voice to regular Holly talking voice, and it's just, I find it funny.
I really try to have an official podcast voice, but I can't really keep it up for that long. So I try to I'm trying to be a professional, but I can't be a professional for that long. I can only be professional for so long.
As we all on our team know so well, you cannot be a professional for that long. Yes.
I mean, it can only hold up for so long. It's just, it hurts my body.
All right. Well, next week you can just try it peppier. Hello. This is Holly Petre, Nation's Restaurant News.
Well, that hurts my soul.
All right. Just merge the two. Try to find somewhere in between.
You don't like my podcast voice?
Oh, it's fine.
Oh, fine.
I'm just encouraging some more pep in that step is all.
Listeners, he just said fine.
It's fine.
Oh,
let me tell you about what it takes to have a podcast voice, Holly. You've got to talk normally, but with some enthusiasm.
Daggers.
I'm going to write the book. I'm going to write the book on how to have a podcast voice. Anyway.
Oh yeah. How's your other book coming?
Just fine, thanks.
Yeah. I'll bring that up. I'll bring that up.
My little pet project. Hey, you try having 2 kids.
No, thanks. I'm good.
It's hard.
Yeah, I'm really good. Thank you, though.
Okay, great.
Oh, we're getting off the rails already. We were talking about the Emperor's New Groove before we got on, so we were already off the rails.
Yeah, we don't need to bring that back into the conversation unless you really want to talk about some of the greatest animated movies of all time. But, maybe for another pod.
Well, what do you think is the greatest animated movie of all time?
Ooh, geez. Well, would really have to. There's a lot of thought that goes into that, right? Because are you looking for storytelling? Are you looking for humor? Are you looking for animation? You could pull a different movie for all of those. If you go for the total package, Pixar movies, you really can't go too wrong. Finding Nemo used to be, I think, the answer for me, but as I watch it more with my kids now, I'm like, maybe not. I've come around more to The Incredibles. I didn't care for it when I didn't have kids, but now that my kids are into it, I've sort of seen the light on that movie. My son is obsessed with Toy Story. I have seen the 4 Toy Story movies collectively probably 30 to 40 times. It's insane, but those are darn good movies. I don't know if I would say best, but they are very, very good. So, yeah, lots to choose from. I don't know. I'll have to do a ranking. Maybe I'll bring that to the podcast next week. Official Sam Oches ranking of the best animated movies of all time.
You know what? I think you should. I think you should make a list. I think you should have a bracket system. I think we should bracket these movies. I think we should really put them head to head. I think we got to make it a contest.
I assume that's what everybody listening right now is coming to this podcast for, is to know what our opinions are on animated movies. It does feel like we should throw up a social media poll or something. What is the best animated movie of all time? Although if we really want to make it interesting and topical, what is the best animated movie that includes restaurants? Of course, we got to talk about Ratatouille.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Well, what's another one that includes food?
I was going to say, I think it's the one and only. There's got to be other. There's food included in other animated movies. All right, I'm gonna put some thought into it for the next week, and we'll revisit.
Yeah,
this
put
next
some
week.
thought into what animated movies include food, because that seems a very important element. I mean, obviously Ratatouille. Yeah, write it down.
No, I'm Googling it with food. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. That's that's underrated. Very good.
That's
film.
a good one. That's a good film. James and the Giant Peach. That has food.
James and the Giant Peach. Okay, that's an old school. That's like really throwing it back.
No, what's his face? Tim Burton made a version, I think.
Like a Real People?
No, like an animated version, I think.
No, I know, but like in the 90s.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, it's like 30 years ago. You should know.
Don't be aging me up.
Oh, that's right. You wouldn't remember that movie because you weren't born yet.
Don't be aging me up to 30 yet. That's not happening.
Let's see here. You know what? Other than that, there's a link here that is 10 foods made iconic. Oh, of course, with Lady and the Tramp with its spaghetti.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
All right. We're probably going a little bit too off the rails here. Oh, Princess and the Frog. Princess and the Frog. Her dream is to own a restaurant, right? Well, and they have beignets.
Yes. Oh, they have beignets. Oh, I love beignets.
That's a good one. This link actually calls out Emperor's New Groove for Kronk's spinach puffs. So
You know what
fun.
was really good? We had Popeyes beignets, and they were delicious. We had that for a menu tracker segment recently. Popeyes made beignets. They were like filled with like a berry compote. They were absolutely incredible. I have to say, I was so impressed.
Beignets are great. Beignets are a very.
But they're from
special kind of food.
Popeyes.
Yeah, I mean, hey, kudos to them.
And they were delivered.
Yeah.
Like it was fried donuts basically delivered, covered in powdered sugar, and they still held up. I was so impressed.
Good job, Popeyes.
Good job, Popeyes. I mean, I was absolutely astounded. So see, I got back to food. We got back there.
Back around. Thank you.
Brought us back around. All right, so let's talk about news now. We've gotten off the rails. Poor Leanne's going to listen to this and just be like, they're lost without me. So shout out Leanne.
That's true. Yep.
Shout out Leanne. We are lost without you. So we had an earnings palooza this week. There's even more earnings that came in while we were gone. I've had some of our writers messaging me while we were recording to get some tidbits about earnings that we were kind of missing because we have had earnings going on while we've been on this call. So
here we are in real time, bringing the news to you
in real time.
Off the presses. Yeah.
So Starbucks reported they were talking a lot about, I mean, they had a record-breaking year, but they talked a lot about people, especially in light of unionization. Yum had a really challenging quarter, but was boosted a lot by Taco Bell's Mexican pizza, which we will talk about later. It's very exciting for me. Papa John's momentum slowed. They had price increases. A lot of people talked about price increases, which we talked about last week a little bit with menu hikes. So, I mean, what were some of your big takeaways from this earnings palooza, which I keep saying, but I love the word palooza.
And Lollapalooza, the originator of the phrase, was just like last week, wasn't it? So it's...
Is that really the originator of the phrase?
Very timely. Has to be, right? I mean, what other paloozas are there officially?
There can't just be like a word, palooza?
No. I mean, what is Lala? Like if they, right? Like if they made a palooza for Lala, I don't know. Okay, now we're really going crazy. Okay, let's talk about the earnings. Let's start with Starbucks because I do think it is funny that they emphasized the employees so much in their latest earnings report because, of course, this has been a sore subject as it relates to unionization. We've called them out a few times here on this podcast because this is a company that has historically been very well known for taking care of its employees, for really investing in culture. Of course, they have a stock option for employees. I mean, they've got all this stuff that they have been known for, and for them to be the ones where unionization really took root in a big way was, I guess, surprising. and seemed to signal that Starbucks had maybe lost its way as it related to its people. So Starbucks now saying that they're going to revisit that part of it, and Schultz was talking about showing their employees more empathy and getting kind of down at their level to understand what are the challenges for team members. And it seems like they've really boiled it down to improving the store experience, improving the employee experience, digital innovations that can help make things perhaps a little bit more efficient so employees are not overwhelmed. But then also training, talk about doing more training for their employees and finding ways to really improve the quality of their employees, so that again that they don't become perhaps overwhelmed or dissatisfied with the position. They're also talking about increasing wages. So all these things they're trying to throw at their employees to improve the experience, I'm sure with the hope that it would make employees think twice about pursuing a union. It probably didn't hurt that they actually had some pretty good sales to report. Sales are up pretty significantly for Starbucks, and so I'm sure they're hoping to build off that momentum into some more positive headlines than they've had recently, which it's been pretty tough going for them for the last really couple of years.
They had record-breaking sales, actually.
Yeah, what are the numbers here? Was it 8%? Guess I should have written that
they
down.
They grew 9% domestically in the U.S.
I was so close. Yes,
you were pretty
9%.
close.
Thanks. I think they needed that win. One really interesting thing that I think surprised the whole world when they said this, because I saw this popping off on social media and in consumer media, was that 75% of their sales in the latest quarter were cold beverages, which, I mean, that blows my mind. Now, granted, it is summer, so there's probably just a much higher demand for cold beverages, of course, in the warmer months. But still, when you just think about Starbucks really being known as that early morning cup of coffee on your way to work kind of thing. Now, look, as somebody who is really addicted to coffee in the morning, I cannot do without my cup of coffee or two in the morning. I cannot fathom having a cold iced coffee in the morning. That's just like not my habit. Sorry. Okay. Apparently I'm in the minority here on this call, but,
my iced coffee's right here. It's ready to go.
All right. Well, there you go. Okay. So maybe I am in the minority. I don't know. Hot coffee for me, winter, summer, doesn't matter. I need a cup of hot coffee in the morning. To me, an iced coffee is like a treat. Because if I go to Starbucks and I get, Frappuccino or something, like I'm going for like as a afternoon snack. You know what I mean?
Do you get whipped cream on it too?
Oh, sure. Well, yeah. Well, exactly. So there you go. It's a treat. It's a sweet something. And I'm a pretty straightforward coffee and cream kind of guy, no sugar in the morning, but the afternoon, if I need a little pick-me-up, that's when I'm going for that, ice-cold treat kind of deal. So I don't know if I am a case study in Starbucks customer. I don't go to Starbucks that often because I'm not regularly passing them like a lot of people. But so for me, that when I saw that result, I'm like, wow, either a lot of people really just like cold coffee, iced coffee at all times, doesn't matter. Or maybe Starbucks is really boosting its day part sales and is finding that folks are coming in more often for a treat or something. I don't know, but you're clearly an example of somebody who drinks iced coffee in the morning. So here we are.
Well, so for me, it's a sign of the younger demographic. So everybody I know and everybody I see on social media and like my TikTok and Instagram and my friends all drink iced coffee. And drink it year round, and so
why?
That's something that
you and I are 7 years apart or something like that. How is there some generational divide that I am very traditional and drink a hot cup of coffee in the morning, and you and your friends don't? I don't get that.
Well, so hot coffee's not as good for your stomach, and I feel like all of my generation has stomach issues, and I feel like it's just like it gives you like heartburn instantly, and so I feel like a lot of people just don't want that heartburn instantly.
Okay.
I think that's what it is.
My generation was just like, screw it, I don't care. I'm going to go for the heartburn and for the bad stomach. Or
I kind of
maybe
think
my
that's what it
generation is
is.
just more healthy. I don't know. I got nothing for you. I don't experience heartburn the first thing in the morning with my cup of coffee, but
I think that's what I see all over social media is that's what the root of it is. That's what I see on TikTok and everything. And that's what, I mean, that seems to be the root of the cause. But a lot of people also just drink iced coffee because they like it better.
Hold on a second. Wait 1 second. How is iced coffee healthier? I just need to rewind and what? Like, how is iced coffee better for your stomach health?
The heat of the acid isn't as good. Like I think the heat of the acidity like does something to it. When it's cold, it's not as acidic. There's some science behind it, but I know I'm not a dietitian.
All right, if you're a dietitian out there and you're listening to this, please email us and tell us if cold or if iced coffee is more healthy than hot coffee. I always just assumed it's what goes into the coffee, right? It's just if you put sugar and cream and whipped cream and all that stuff, like that's when you get into more of the health conversation.
I mean, most people aren't putting whipped cream into their coffee, Sam.
I told you, it's an afternoon treat, okay? Jeez. And I do it like rarely, like probably once a month at
Oh my
most.
God, I'm just picturing you getting a coffee with a whipped cream on top.
I am confident in myself enough to go get a whipped cream iced beverage. Thank you very much. I have no problem with that. I'd
be embarrassed.
Why?
I'd be embarrassed to pick that up for someone.
You think that's like a children's drink or something?
Yes, I didn't even get that when I was a child. When I was like going to the mall and like getting those drinks with the whipped cream on top, I was like, no whipped cream, thank you.
You haven't lived. This is a weird conversation because we just started by talking about the generational divide where I drink hot coffee and you don't. And then we flipped it into I drink drinks with whipped cream on top and you don't. I think Gen Z, I'm worried for Gen Z. Well, like what are the younger generations? What is their attitude toward food? Anyway, I'm just going to stew over
because I'm not a Gen
as the
Z.
old man. You might as well be. You're borderline. You're pretty close.
I'm not. Somebody called me a cusper, and I got so mad the other day.
Ooh, that's a weird word.
Cusper. I used to work at a store called Cusp.
Is that what it's referring to?
It was like the
cusp of a generation?
No, it was like the cusp between like one like high fashion and like lower income, like not lower, like lower. I can't think of the word.
You're really trying to say this sensitively without sounding like a jerk, aren't you?
Between like lower brands, like between higher brands and lower brands, it was like the in-between brand, but it was priced at like $400, which was still expensive.
Yeah. Jeez. Okay. We don't need to talk about fashion. What's up? What's late? What other thing can we talk about with restaurants? Should we talk about Yum and the Mexican pizza now?
Heck yeah.
Okay. Do you want to start?
Yes, let's talk about Mexican pizza. I love Taco Bell.
You're our in-house Taco Bell aficionado.
Yes, I love Taco Bell. I think about ordering it every day.
This has happened in a short time frame, by the way, because I'm pretty sure I knew you at a time when you had never had Taco Bell before.
You did, yes. Leanne and I had gone out one night, and then the next day we went to the office, and we ordered Taco Bell in the office, and that was my first time eating Taco Bell. And that was maybe like 6 months ago. Changed my life.
Have you had the Mexican pizza?
It isn't back yet. It was an LTO, but it was only available for 2 weeks because it then sold out.
Right. So you didn't get it before it sold out.
So I didn't get it in those 2 weeks because I thought I had time.
Well, I think it sold out in a week, right? It was coming back for 2 weeks and then it sold out in a week.
It was coming back for 6 months.
Oh, okay. So then it sold out in 2 weeks.
It sold out in 2 weeks. Comes back on September 15th. For good.
Let's just talk about this because I think, Taco Bell is the master of novelty items and the menu item as the marketing platform, right? Because Doritos Locos Tacos, one of the most historically great fast food items of all time in terms of they sold billions of them. It just totally recharged sales at Taco Bell. And I think this is another example of it where they can really develop. My kids are screaming downstairs, so for all those who are hearing little children screaming, that's what's going on here. And now everything makes sense when I talk about the kids and the distractions. Anyway, so Mexican pizza, another example of Taco Bell really winning with a menu item as the marketing platform. The whole Doja Cat lyric, tweet. I'm going to show my age here. I don't really know what happened, but
pizza is the pizza for
Doja
you
Cat
and
sang
me.
about it.
Yeah, she rapped about it.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't even know Doja Cat was a woman. Okay, yeah, here we are. Old man alert. But Doja Cat really helping putting Mexican pizza back on the map when they brought it back. Anyway, one thing I really want to call out here that I think is so smart as it relates to Taco Bell and its marketing is that the loyalty members had access to the Mexican pizza first, and that their loyalty membership went up 10% as a result of the Mexican pizza. Like, how smart is that? I mean, that's where we're at now, right? I mean, we've been talking about this a lot as it relates to loyalty, that loyalty is no longer the punch card. Loyalty anymore is about experiences, and it's about exclusivity and giving your loyalty members very exclusive access to things. And here you go. Here's a prime example of it. This is up 10%, might be hundreds of thousands of people because it's millions of people strong in their loyalty program, and all because of this one item, the Mexican pizza. So not everybody can do this like Taco Bell, because that whole idea of the novelty menu item, it fits in their branding, doesn't fit for most other restaurants. But like, I don't know, it's just, there's so much to learn from what Taco Bell does with its menu development, its R&D, and then how it really weaves it into its marketing, that I just think it should be a case study for all restaurateurs out there.
Yeah, and I'm so curious about how they're going to reintroduce this. I mean, they did this like huge marketing push in the summer that was like, they had Doja Cat, they had Dolly Parton, they had this musical plan with the people who did the Bridgerton musical, who are currently being sued, but that's a whole other thing.
Bridgerton musical? What?
Did you watch Bridgerton?
You know what? I did the first season. I'm sorry. I hated it. But
that's unsurprising.
Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, so they had this whole like, musical plan for the pizza, for the Mexican pizza. That never happened because it sold out. And so they had this whole marketing plan, and it never came to fruition because of all of these supply chain issues.
Okay.
I did put that in quotes because I don't know how well it was thought through on Taco Bell's end. They say that they have thought through the supply chain issues to get this accomplished, so it will be on the menu full time. They told Joanna that they have done it, that they have done their homework.
That's good.
She assured me on First Bite that they have done their homework, that they are ready to go for this.
Well, it does sort of harken back to Popeyes chicken sandwich too, right? Which sold out in super quickly, and sort of similar thing, which they just had not planned for. It did not have enough supply. Of course, that was 3 years ago in the before times, and supply chain wasn't as much of an issue. So all the more so now you got to plan for that kind of stuff. But just another example of marketing as a menu win, and finding ways to just sort of capture that cultural moment, as Taco Bell is so good at doing.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I didn't even know about the Mexican pizza before. I mean, I wasn't even a Taco Bell consumer before, but now I'm like, I have to try the Mexican pizza. And it doesn't even look appealing in the photos. The photos look horrifying.
I gotta say, nothing about it appeals to me either. That's no knock on Taco Bell. I like Taco Bell like the next person, but yeah, it doesn't jump out to me. Maybe just because pizza is pretty sacred in my life. Pizza to me should
every
be
Friday night and Sunday morning. I got that.
Friday night. That's right. Well, Friday night and Sunday night. I mean,
and Sunday night. Now, you don't eat it cold leftovers for breakfast?
No, because I got to save it for Sunday night when we do our leftover Sunday night Sunday night pizza dinner.
Oh, I grew up on cold pizza for breakfast.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like I've never done cold pizza for breakfast. Of course I've done that, but it depends on how much pizza's left after Friday night.
I had pizza for dinner last night. Pizza for dinner last night was delicious.
Oh, good for you. What kind of pizza? Local? Chain?
Local. Prince Street Pizza here in New York City. I had a spicy vodka slice and a pepperoni slice, and they were delicious. I took my friend there, and he was like, this is the best pizza I've ever had. And he's in the restaurant business, so it was
I remember having their pizza. I think I told you this before, but the one time I had their pizza, it was hyped as the best pizza in New York, and I ate it, and I was like, okay.
I don't think you had the right slices.
It was fine.
You got to be told which slices to get.
Okay.
You got to get specific slices. You got to get the square slices. You got to get the spicy vodka and the pepperoni. It's very specific which ones you got to get.
Oh, shout out to my friends at Fusion here in Columbus. I did eat pizza with them last weekend, as I noted on the pod last week. And Wizard of Za is a brand that they now own here in Columbus, a pizza brand. And ooh, it is good. It is so good. But I remember that because it's a square slice. Same idea is square slice, really a lot of attention toward the crust. Anyway, recommend it if you're here in Ohio.
I don't really plan on being there in Ohio, but I'm sure some of our listeners are.
I have nothing to say outside of you coastal elitist.
Do you plan on flying me out to Ohio?
No.
See? Then I'm not going out to Ohio.
You could drive across it. Go drive across the country.
I don't know how to drive.
Ohio's only like an 8-hour drive from New York. Yeah, I do know that. Anyway, should we talk about Chipotle? Because I did want to talk about Chipotle.
Yeah, let's talk about Chipotle. What do you want to say about Chipotle?
Buttoning up the yum thing, Taco Bell, lots to talk about there, of course, but Pizza Hut and KFC not doing so good.
No, they're not.
Because of a variety of factors, KFC having issues with its China business. So this is globally, it's not doing great. China really affecting KFC because they had a lot of COVID shutdowns recently, but also Pizza Hut and delivery driver shortage continues to hurt them, although they have embraced third party much more so than others, namely Domino's. But Chipotle, if we moved right along to Chipotle, sales up 10%, Chipotle humming right along, but Brian Nichol talking about how they wanted to increase store throughput because they don't think they're doing as good as they can be. Brian Nichol, he of the removing friction from the guest experience. He was the first person I think who ever said that to me. I don't know if that might have existed before him, but I know he's really into that. Let's just say. And so that's what they're doing. They're trying to focus even more so on the guest experience and making it go as quick as possible. They did note that newer employees, that part of the challenge is with newer employees who are not as trained for the rush can slow things down. So labor issues having a direct consequence to business there. And their digital orders are slipping. And that's a big deal because digital orders are bigger average checks. So as people come more into the restaurants, that affects sales in a unique way. Holly, can you tell I did my homework?
I was just about to say, it's so nice when you take notes.
I know. I told Holly before we hit record that I was not really aware of what was going on in the industry this week because I've kind of had my head down. But I did my homework. So here we are.
I know. I wrote an outline this week. I even
you
gave
can comment
you some
on Chipotle
hints.
too.
I even gave you some hints this week.
I'm taking over.
I wrote a little bit more in this outline because I kind of had a feeling you weren't paying attention this week. I gave you little notes. I was like, except in the outline I just wrote, Mexican pizza's back! Exclamation point.
I did see that actually. Yeah, usually you're better about like actually saying more about what we're going to talk about this week. You're like, I don't know, earnings. So had to put some effort in.
You did, and you did a very good job. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
You did a great job. I mean, I think we covered earnings. Was there anything else you wanted to say? Did you have any other notes that you took? I don't want to step on your toes.
Those are my bullet points. Chipotle did talk about more training as well, actually. So if we could sum up what a lot of people are talking about is how labor is directly impacting the business and how they want to do a better job training their people to improve the overall experience to enhance the opportunities for revenue. How do you like that?
That was very corporate speak.
Thank you.
I feel like that's not the answer I was expecting.
What? I could do corporate speak with the best of them. I'm here for you.
Okay, well, let's talk about something happy, like we have been talking about to end the podcast. This is how we end it now, with something happy. And our happy thing this week is that our plant-based project that we've been doing, our plant-based showdown, went live this week.
It did.
So it's which plant-based chain do you think is going to be the first national plant-based chain? And so we have a contest running on our Instagram and our LinkedIn. So on Instagram, we are Nations Restaurant News, and we're Nations Restaurant News on our LinkedIn as well. So go and follow us and go to our post and go vote for which of the 10 plant-based chains you think is going to be the first to go national. We have stories up on all of them and videos on our website. We interview the founders or leaders of all of these chains. Go learn more about them. They're very exciting. They're really cool chains. They're all doing something innovative, interesting. I would combine innovative and interesting into one new word.
Nope, innovating is still a word.
Oh, is it?
You think you're so special coming up with a new word that already exists.
I'm so special. But anyways, so that went live. Please go vote. It's a really exciting project. We will announce a winner, the Reader's Choice winner at the end of the month. And so it's just a really exciting project that we're doing. We're excited to see what you guys think. We haven't really done something like this before where we've asked you guys for your opinions on things via social media. So we're excited to see what you guys are thinking, are really engaged in, what kind of brands you guys are looking for. So go vote.
Yeah, and Holly's being modest, but Holly is really the brains behind this whole thing. So kudos to Holly. You put together a fantastic content package, and it's very exciting to see that there's been a lot of engagement with it already. I kind of have a hunch who's going to win based on what I've seen on Instagram, but I won't say here and spoil it. But yeah, I mean, emphasizing just the fact that, and we position this as New York and LA, not because that's where all the plant-based innovation is happening. It's just where more of the plant-based innovation is happening. Again, as resident flyover country resident on this podcast, I am sensitive to not all special things happen in New York and LA. It's just how we positioned it this time because that's where a lot of it's happening. But I think it's also important to say that, we're not just highlighting one-offs with an interesting product. We're highlighting 10 brands that have genuinely expressed their interest to go national. And I think we're on a cusp of, that point where we could conceivably have a national plant-based brand, and these are the brands that have the best shot at it. So yes, go check it out. LinkedIn, Instagram, weigh in. If there's somebody out there not in New York or LA, just let us know about it too, because obviously there's plenty of other plant-based brands out there that might go national, and we want to highlight them too. So send us your feedback if you can. Yeah, so that's our happy news of the week. Do you have anything else happy to say, Sam? What else happy? I'm riding my bike 57 miles this weekend. Wow. Yes. I am riding in the Pelotonia here in Columbus, which is a bike event to raise money for cancer research. And so I'll be doing that on Saturday morning. So while you're brunching in New York and drinking your mimosas or whatever, just know my butt is going to be hurting because it'll be on a bike for about 5 hours. So that's
Excuse
what I'm doing.
me, I will be going to Pilates, and then I will be taking a train to Philadelphia for my uncle's birthday on Saturday. So that will be my plan.
Okay. Productive. Well.
Yes. But good for you for biking 57 miles. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. Yep, riding with my dad and my brother-in-law. So I have been preparing for that all week and am eager to have it done because I rode 30 miles last weekend and my body is still tired because, listeners, I am not a super in shape person. So riding this much is not always the easiest. But anyway, I'm happy to do it. So a very good cause, raising money for cancer research.
Yes, a very good cause. We are all very proud of you. I will speak for the listeners and say we are all very proud of you. You have a community behind you, so.
I was looking for affirmation. Thank you.
It's fine. I know you well enough at this point to know when you need affirmation.
I think we also need Leanne for brevity because we have just been droning on and on and on. Where the poor listener is like, guys, just go to the interview.
Well, I will go to the interview because this week's interview is Green District's Jordan Depke and Chris Furlow. And we talked about what it's like to be, an emerging brand in the health space. And so they talked a lot about what it's like to have health foods and be in middle America and have this healthy concept. And it was really interesting. And so we talked a lot about that. So enjoy the interview. And thank you so much.
Are they in my neck of the woods? Am I making it up that they're in my neck of the woods? Are they around here somewhere? Or is it like Indiana, Kentucky, something?
They're in your neck of the woods.
Sorry, I'm throwing you off.
No, they are. You did throw me off. But...
We create good things in the middle of the country, too. Jeez.
And see, I can interview people in the middle of the country, too.
Good job, Holly.
Thank you. So, listener, enjoy that. And thank you so much, Sam, for joining me today.
Thanks, Holly.